Hi, my name is Rachel Tate and welcome to my YouTube channel, What a Pain. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my 5 top tips for living with chronic illness. The first thing that I want to talk to you about today is learning to say no. This is something that I really struggled with when I was first diagnosed and I still struggle with now. Before I got ill, I used to love going out and doing things. I used to love making plans and being spontaneous. After I got ill, that changed. I had to learn to live with symptoms like chronic pain and chronic fatigue. When you're dealing with symptoms like chronic pain and chronic fatigue, you can no longer be spontaneous and you have to start planning everything you do. And sometimes that means saying no, changing plans, or cancelling them last minute. It can be incredibly difficult to say no to the people who are closest to us. I used to wrestle with feelings of guilt all the time. I really struggled to say no even when I had to, and I used to feel terrible about it. Something that I've learned is that true friends and family will understand when you have to say no or change plans last minute. They'll make allowances for the fact that you can't be who you once were and that things are different because of your chronic illness. If somebody in your life doesn't understand that sometimes you have to say no in order to safeguard your own health, then have a conversation with them, try being honest. Sometimes just explaining our symptoms actually gives that person a little bit more awareness and helps them to understand why we have to say no sometimes and we can't always do as much as we used to. If somebody doesn't understand that you have to say no sometimes, even after you've explained that to them, then actually it's their problem and not yours. So let go of that guilt and give yourself permission to say no. It's important and it protects your health. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the importance of rest days, and this ties in quite well probably with the saying no thing. This weekend, I've had a fantastic weekend and it's been absolutely jam-packed. We've had a 21st birthday and a 10th birthday within the family. I got to spend loads of time with people that I really love and I had a brilliant time. But I did know that after it, I would need to plan in some rest days. So I did. It's really important to remember that when you're making plans, plan in time to rest as well. I used to make the mistake of trying to do too much and cram in all the same things that I used to do before I got ill. I've since realised I can't do that anymore, but it took quite a few bad flare-ups before I was willing to admit that I needed to plan in my rest time. You don't need to feel guilty about planning in rest days. You're not lazy, it's something you need to do. Chronic fatigue is a very difficult symptom and it's really important to take that time to rest. Don't feel bad, you're not lazy. You need that time to recuperate. The third thing I want to talk to you about is learning to accept help. This is something else I'm actually really terrible at, and it's something that I've had to learn to get a little bit better at, especially recently. I'm really lucky to have lots of really supportive people in my life who offer me practical help like cleaning, washing, doing the ironing, changing the beds, or doing some shopping. I really struggle to accept help. I'm very house proud, and I was before I got ill. Since I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, I have struggled to keep my house perhaps as nice as I'd like it to be all of the time. It's something that I feel really embarrassed of, and often when people offer me help, I don't want them to see that actually if I've had a flare up or a bad day or whatever, my kitchen's chaos or my bedroom's chaos or whatever it might be, I don't want them to see that. I feel ashamed and therefore I decline their help, which is silly because they obviously know that it's difficult for me to do certain things or keep on top of certain things at times because of the symptoms of my chronic illness and their genuine offers of help. And actually, real friends and family don't really care what your house is like or whether when they rock up you're in your pajamas or whatever. I recently was forced to accept help and it did me the world of good. When I landed in hospital after a particularly bad flare-up last month, I wasn't there to say no to help and my wonderful husband accepted help, and I guess in doing so helped me get over that initial hurdle of perhaps feeling shame because I couldn't do something myself. So now I've started to try and say yes when people offer to help me, and my biggest tip with this would be if someone offers a particular type of help and it's not something that you want or you're ready to accept, then say, hey, thanks so much for offering that. That's something that I don't need help with right now, but what I could really use some help with is this pile of ironing or picking the kids up or whatever it might be. Don't just say no. The people who are closest to you are genuinely trying to help. When you love somebody with a chronic illness, you can end up feeling really helpless because you can't fix what they're going through. You can't make them better. And I know from speaking to my husband, that's something he struggles with massively. So when people offer practical help, it's their way of trying to do something because they care about you and they want to do whatever they can to help make your life a little bit easier. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is this whole thing of pretending everything's okay. I'm really bad for doing this as well, and it's something that I've certainly got better at since my diagnosis, but still needs a lot of work. This tip's really important because it's so important that you allow yourself to feel things. Don't just bury them all down and pretend everything's okay. It's okay to feel grief. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to look back and think, I wish I could still do those things that I used to do before I got sick, or I wish that my life was like it used to be before my diagnosis. It's okay to grieve for the health that you've lost, and actually it's really important that you do go through that process and feel that process. It's not something that has a time limit. It's been 3 years since my official diagnosis, well 3.5, and it's been nearly 5 years since my symptoms started. I still have days where I grieve for the life that I used to have before I got ill, particularly some changes that have happened in recent years, which I'll be talking about more in my blog and in these videos. The biggest thing that I've learned is that actually it's okay to have those moments and just feel those moments. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling and give yourself permission to just sometimes take a moment and be mad, be sad, cry, do whatever you need to do to express whatever it is that's going on for you. Tell someone about it, or write about it, or do whatever it is that helps you cope. And that brings me on to my last point, the importance of positivity. After you've had those moments where you just scream or cry or you're mad or you're grieving or whatever it is, it's so important that you then find your positive and hold on to it. Give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you're feeling in that moment or on that day or in that week, but remember to go back to your positives. You know, count your blessings might be a cliche, but it's so important. And even on the really bad days, you can find something to be positive about. On my worst days, when I'm in a lot of pain or having a flare up, or with some of the stuff that I went through a couple of years ago, sometimes the biggest positive of my day was that my husband made me an awesome cup of tea. But that was something positive and I held on to it. On the better days, I have so many things to be thankful for. I am incredibly fortunate. So yeah, my biggest tip is find your positive and hold on to it, whatever that may be. I'd love to hear in the comments down below what it is that keeps you going on the bad days. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video, and I look forward to posting more videos soon.